ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into a pretty unexpected area.
Oh,
Cane Corsos in search and rescue.
really?
Yeah, so most people, when they think about Cane Corsos, they think about estate guarding.
Right, yeah, big, powerful dogs.
Exactly. But we're going to figure out how those instincts, those guarding instincts, can actually transfer to the world of search and rescue.
And it's interesting because it really does kind of highlight how any breed can have hidden potential.
Right.
It all comes down to temperament and the training.
Yeah, and our sources all really emphasize how important it is that the dog has a good sense of smell.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like their superpower for being able to do this job.
Yeah, you need that sense of smell. But beyond just the physical capabilities, you also have to think about the mental and emotional demands.
Oh,
so
yeah.
a search and rescue dog has to have incredible focus.
Oh, yeah, they got to be able to stay on task.
Right, even in like super chaotic environments.
Yeah, for sure.
And their temperament has to be both driven but also adaptable.
Okay, so this is where I think it gets really interesting with Cane Corsos.
Okay.
Because they're known for being strong and intelligent dogs, but they're also independent, and sometimes they can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
So how do those traits actually work with search and rescue work?
Well, that independence that makes them such good guard dogs, it can actually be kind of a double-edged sword.
Oh, how so?
Well, because they might be more likely to just rely on their own assessment of what's going on instead of following the handler's cues.
Right, so you're not just teaching them skills, you're having to kind of channel that independence.
Exactly, and that's where training becomes so important.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about just basic sit and stay here.
Right.
This goes way beyond that.
Okay.
Think about scent work.
Okay.
I mean, that's the core of search and rescue training.
Right.
And it's fascinating how it progresses.
Yeah.
They start with like simple scent association, like finding a toy or something.
Right.
But eventually you're talking about scent discrimination. So like finding a specific person's scent among all kinds of other smells.
Wow, that sounds so challenging.
Oh, it is.
Like finding a needle in a haystack, but with smells.
Exactly. And in a way that Cane Corso's independence can help with that.
Okay.
Because they're naturally very inquisitive and they're problem solvers.
Oh.
But again, that same independence can lead to frustration if they get stuck or if they can't find the scent right away.
So handlers really have to be good at reading their dog's body language.
Right, and knowing how to motivate them effectively.
Yeah, sure.
It's really a delicate balance between encouraging that drive,
Right.
but also preventing them from getting too fixated or frustrated.
And it all starts with understanding the Cane Corso's temperament.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive into that a little bit more.
Sure.
Because our sources mentioned some Cane Corso-specific challenges that handlers really need to address.
Well, yeah, we've talked about their independence, but there's also their size.
Right.
So a powerful Cane Corso
Yeah.
is great for covering rough terrain,
Yeah.
but what about tight spaces, like a collapsed building?
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so how do you get a Cane Corso into a small space like that?
Right.
And it comes down to creative training and specialized equipment.
Really?
So you might use harnesses that have multiple attachment points so you can control them better in small spaces.
Okay.
And you would train them to be comfortable working close to the handler, relying on physical cues.
Wow, so it's almost like a whole other level of communication.
Well, it's like a dance.
Yeah.
And then there's prey drive.
Oh, right?
Cane Corsos have a strong instinct to chase.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that's really managed.
Right, because they're not supposed to be chasing squirrels when they're trying to find a missing person.
Exactly. You need to make sure that that prey drive isn't going to interfere with their work.
So I imagine that takes a lot of specialized training
Oh, yeah.
and impulse control exercises.
And those exercises are also important for addressing their intensity because they're really focused dogs, which is good, but it can also lead to frustration if they don't find what they're looking for quickly enough.
Right, it's like they're so determined to succeed that they might get discouraged
Yeah.
if they feel like they're failing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So the handler has to be able to recognize those signs of frustration and redirect that energy in a positive way.
Right.
Keep them engaged, but also prevent them from being overwhelmed.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about how their strengths and challenges can kind of be two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But how do you even begin to train a dog for something as complex as search and rescue?
Well, it's a multi-layered process.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just as much about training the handler as it is the dog.
I bet. Because you need to be able to read their cues, understand their motivation.
Exactly. You need to be able to adapt your approach as you go.
Right.
And that's why early socialization is so important. Especially with a breed like the Cane Corso, you want to expose them to all kinds of people, environments, experiences from when they're really young.
Right.
It helps them build that confidence and adaptability that they'll need out in the field.
Right. So it's like you're building a good foundation.
Yeah.
For all the specialized training that comes later.
Exactly. And when it comes to the training, positive reinforcement is key.
Okay.
Especially with Cane Corsos.
Mm-hmm.
They're sensitive dogs. They really thrive on praise and rewards.
Okay.
Harsh methods just won't work with them.
Right.
You lose their trust and you just kill their enthusiasm.
So it's about making the training fun and rewarding.
Right. For both the dog and the handler.
Okay.
That's where things like impulse control exercises come in.
Okay.
So these aren't just about teaching them to sit and stay.
Right.
It's about building that mental discipline they need to resist distractions.
Okay. So can you give us an example of what that might look like in like a search and rescue situation?
Sure. So imagine you're training a Cane Corso to search for someone in the woods.
Oh.
There's going to be all kinds of smells out there, squirrels, rabbits.
Yeah.
But the dog has to learn to ignore all those distractions.
Wow.
And just focus on the scent they've been given.
It's like teaching them to tune out the noise and only pay attention to the signal.
Exactly. And those impulse control exercises really help develop that ability.
Okay.
So it starts with simple stuff like having them sit and stay while you walk away. And then you gradually increase the distance and the level of distraction.
Okay.
And eventually you introduce more complex scenarios like searching in a mock disaster area.
Oh, wow.
With all kinds of distractions like noise and crowds and even other dogs.
Wow. So you really are putting them through their paces.
You have to in order to get them ready.
So speaking of distractions, one thing our sources emphasized was indication training.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
So indication training is teaching the dog how to tell the handler that they found what they're looking for. So it could be a bark, a sit, a paw, touch whatever signal they've been trained to use.
Oh, wow. So that signal has to be really clear.
Oh, absolutely. Lives depend on it.
Wow.
And this is where things get interesting with Cane Corsos.
Okay.
Because sometimes their natural guarding instincts can interfere with the indication training.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. A Cane Corso's instinct is to protect their territory.
Right.
And alert their handler if something's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So in a search and rescue situation,
Yeah.
they might bark or growl at the missing person.
Oh, wow.
Especially if that person's injured or distressed.
That makes sense. They're trying to alert their handler to a threat.
Right.
But in this case, that threat is the person they're trying to find.
Exactly. So handlers have to be really good at telling the difference between a guarding bark and an indication bark. Yeah. And they have to train the dog to use a clear signal that doesn't involve aggression.
It's amazing how much complexity goes into all of this.
It really is. It's a testament to how smart these dogs are.
And how dedicated the handlers are.
So, okay, we've talked about the training and the challenges, but are there specific breeds that are just better suited for search and rescue work?
That's a question that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a complicated answer.
Okay.
So yes, some breeds are historically associated with search and rescue.
Right, like Laps or German Shepherds.
Yeah, and they often do excel in those roles.
Right.
Because they have a lot of the traits we've talked about, the strong sense of smell, physical stamina, that willingness to work with their handler, and temperament that's driven but also cooperative.
Right. But this whole deep dive has been about challenging breed stereotypes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while certain breeds might be more predisposed to search and rescue, it's important to remember that every dog is an individual. And you can't just put dogs into little boxes and say, well, this one's good for this and this one's not.
Right. It's about seeing that individual potential.
Exactly.
So it brings us back to Cane Corsos.
Why would someone choose this breed that's not usually thought of for search and rescue for this kind of work?
That's a really good question, and it kind of gets to the heart of why this whole topic is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Cane Corsos, they might not be the typical search and rescue dog.
Right.
But they have some unique strengths.
Like their physicality. I mean, we talked about how their size and strength can be good and bad, but in some situations, those things are so valuable.
Oh, absolutely. Think about wilderness searches or disaster areas where the terrain is really rough.
Right.
A Cane Corso's build and endurance would give them a real advantage in those situations.
Yeah, so it's not just about being able to smell something.
Right.
It's about being able to actually get to the location.
Exactly.
No matter what's in the way.
You got to be able to get there safely and efficiently.
Exactly. And then there's that intensity and focus that we talked about earlier.
It takes careful management, but it can be a huge asset, too, when a Cane Corso is properly trained and motivated, they can bring a laser-like focus to their work.
Yeah, they really do seem to take their job seriously.
They do, and we can't forget about their loyalty.
Oh, right.
Cane Corsos are known for being incredibly loyal to their people. They want to please their handlers. They thrive on that partnership.
So it's not just about following commands.
Yo.
It's about working together towards a shared mission.
Exactly. And that kind of loyalty and dedication can make a real difference out in the field.
So for anyone listening who might be thinking, wow, my Cane Corso could totally do this.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing to keep in mind?
It's not an easy decision.
Right.
Training a dog for search and rescue.
Yeah.
Regardless of the breed, it takes a lot of time and resources and energy.
Right. It's a big commitment.
We're not talking about teaching your dog to fetch the newspaper.
Right.
We're talking about preparing them to potentially save someone's life.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is, and it's about finding the right guidance. You need to connect with experts in search and rescue dog training.
Right.
Organizations that specialize in this kind of work. They can help you figure out if your dog is even a good fit for this.
Right.
They can help you with the training.
Yeah.
And they can give you support along the way.
So find the experts.
Yes, definitely.
This isn't something you can just learn from a book.
No, you need professionals for this.
Well, we've learned a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
We started out talking about Cane Corsos.
Yeah, these big, powerful dogs.
Right, that are usually thought of as guard dogs. And we learned that they can actually be heroes.
They can be lifesavers.
It's amazing how adaptable and intelligent dogs are.
It is.
We should never underestimate them.
No, we should.
Or their ability to work with us.
And maybe this has made you curious about your own dog.
Yeah.
Maybe your dog has hidden talents just waiting to be discovered.
What a great thought to end on.
Okay.
Until next time, keep those tails wagging and those minds exploring.
It's all about recognizing each dog as an individual.
Right. And that brings us back to Cane Corsos.
Yeah.
Why would somebody choose this breed, which isn't usually associated with search and rescue, for this type of work?
Well, it's a great question.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets to the heart of why this is such an interesting deep dive.
Okay.
Cane Corsos, they might not be the typical search and rescue dog, but they do bring some pretty unique strengths to the table.
Like their physicality.
Right.
We've talked about how their size and strength can be good and bad.
Yeah.
But in certain situations, those things are invaluable.
Absolutely. Like, if you think about wilderness searches.
Right.
Or like disaster areas where the terrain is super unpredictable.
Yeah.
A Cane Corso's build and endurance would give them a big advantage.
Yeah. So it's not just about finding the scent.
Right.
It's about actually being able to get to that location.
Exactly.
Safely and efficiently.
No matter what's in their way.
Right. And then there's that intensity and focus.
Yes.
Which we've talked about, which can be a challenge, but also a huge asset.
Definitely.
When a Cane Corso is properly trained and motivated,
yes,
they can really bring a laser focus to the task.
Oh, absolutely. And they're not easily distracted, and they have that incredible drive to work alongside their handler.
It's like they're wired to take this job seriously.
They are, and we can't forget about their loyalty.
Oh, right.
They form really strong bonds with their people.
Yeah.
They really want to please their handler, and they thrive on that feeling of partnership.
So it's not just following commands.
No, it's more than that.
It's about a shared mission.
Exactly. And that kind of loyalty and dedication can really make a difference.
Especially in those high-pressure search and rescue situations.
Definitely.
So for anyone listening who might be thinking, you know what, my Cane Corso could totally do this. What's the most important thing to keep in mind?
Well, honestly, it's not a decision to make lightly.
Oh.
Training a dog for search and rescue, regardless of breed, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not talking about, teaching your dog to fetch the newspaper.
Right.
We're talking about preparing them to potentially save someone's life.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, you really have to be ready for that.
Right.
And the other thing is, you need to seek out expert guidance.
Right.
Find professional search and rescue dog trainers, organizations that specialize in this.
Right.
They can assess your dog, they can guide you through the training, and provide support as you go.
So find the experts. This isn't something you can just do yourself.
Exactly. This is specialized work.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We started out talking about Cane Corsos.
Yeah.
Which are often associated with guarding and protection.
Right, right.
And we discovered that these dogs have the potential to be real heroes.
They can be lifesavers.
Yeah. It's an incredible testament to the intelligence of dogs.
It really is.
And it reminds us to never underestimate them.
Yeah, or their capacity to form strong bonds with us.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
But who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked a curiosity in you, a desire to explore your own dog's hidden talents. What amazing things could your dog be capable of?
I don't know, but it's exciting to think about.
It is. Until next time, keep those tails wagging.
And those minds exploring.